So we're at day 3 of NDC still, last day, and I've got Edith with me today from Launch Darkly. Can you tell me a little bit about who you are, what you do?
I'm Edith. I'm CEO and co-founder of Launch Darkly. We help eliminate risk from software release cycles by having a feature flag management platform. I gave a talk on basically how feature flags can be used badly. I think feature flags are great, but there's also a lot of ways they can get you into trouble.
Yep. And we've seen some nice examples of that as well. So great talk, by the way.
I'd love to hear your example.
Yeah, one of the examples I've had is that we built a feature which got deployed, got tested, and everybody was really happy. And then it turned out that 8 months later, the feature was never switched on.
Oh.
So we did a bunch of work and it never got used.
Yeah, I mean, feature flags are only as good as the structure and the org around them.
Yeah, exactly.
Like they're a technique.
Yeah, especially, and yeah, we gave the business quite a lot of control. They were in charge of switching them on and off, and they just never got around to doing it. So,
but did they end up turning it on?
Yeah, ultimately they did, but only after they put another story on our backlog to implement that feature, and they completely forgot about it.
I think that shows that you really have to have a process around the feature flags, and like, I mean, a feature flag is at its most basic just a switch.
Yes.
And how you use that switch is really up to their organization.
Yeah, cool. All right, so we've got a bunch of questions for you about feature flags. So what we see is that we have a lot of functionality that we either want off or on in an environment or that sort of thing. So in your talk you mentioned that sometimes it's a feature flag, sometimes it's a configuration. Is there like a hard and fast rule that says this is configuration and that is a feature flag?
I think the closest is really whether it's something that's going to be always this way for an environment and you're only going to change it on a code release, or something that you want to change independent of a deployment.
Right, so if it's with the release, it's just configuration, and otherwise go for a feature flag.
And also, for example, like a configuration you can usually only change if you're redeploying, which...
Yes, exactly. Yeah, even though if you're doing it a lot, you might impact users at that time.
Yeah, and also, as a rule, you don't want non-technical people in your configuration settings.
Yes, exactly.
Because the risk is very high that they'll do something.
Do something, exactly. All right, cool, clear. And then we do a lot of A/B testing on our website, and I can imagine people thinking, I'll use feature flags for this. Is that something you see often, and is it a good idea?
We do see it often. A/B testing is kind of a natural outreach extension of feature flagging. You know, you're switching stuff on and off. Why don't we measure the performance of this? Yeah,
exactly.
And so you can measure it against a lot of different dimensions. Like, am I getting more sales? Am I slowing down my application? Is this degrading performance of some other piece? So yeah, we do see that a lot.
Yeah. So, but I can imagine that if you want to do really funky things like, okay, I only want people of a certain age group from Norway living in Oslo to get some feature, that would be like a more specialized version of feature flags.
No, I mean that's basically what a lot of people use them for. I mean, so think of a feature flag as just basically a way to control a set of functionality.
Yep.
Then whatever attributes you have on a user, you can pass that.
Cool. So it's actually extending that all the way out of the realm of feature flags and use it just to switch the functionality.
Yeah. I mean, you can get as fine-grained as you want. You can say, I want whatever attributes you have on a user. You can say, like, people who are in Oslo, who have never visited before, who are coming from this IP address.
Exactly. Cool. All right. Well, thanks very much for your time, for the good conversation. I hope you enjoyed NDC.
Yeah, it's great.
I certainly did. And yeah, I hope to catch you again later.
Yeah.